Hi everybody, Matt back with you. Hope you're okay. Before I tell you where I am today, I just want to say a quick thank you. Just recently I seem to have been bumping into people who've been watching these videos. I do appreciate it when you stop me and say what you think, but it's all been positive so far. So a big thank you. It means a lot actually if you stop me and say, I liked that one, but you're also very welcome to say, that one sucked. It doesn't matter. But let's get on with today and see where I am. So today I've come to look at the beautiful woodland valley known as Jumble Hole Clough. It's listed officially as Charlestown, which would make it Hebden, but it is kind of the border between Hebden Bridge and Todmorden, and at one point it was even the border between Yorkshire and Lancashire. So there's a lot of history here. Part of that history that we're looking at today is back in the 18th, 19th century. Because of that water, that stream running through the valley, a lot of places were built. Some mills were built here, some other places were built, and they garnered that power from the water to power their mills. Now most of them have been gone for over 100 years at least, but we're going to see what remains we can find today, what evidence remains, so we can look back on the lost mills of Jumble Hole Clough. So we're starting our journey here, just off the main road between Hebden and Todd, and we're going to follow this path most of the way up, and I'll keep disappearing off to the left and right to show you some different things as we go. When I say mostly lost mills, that's because the first mill we come to is actually here, which we call Jumble Hole Mill. It was once also Underbank Dye Works, which was a silk dyeing factory. However, it did have a massive fire in 1899, which pretty much gutted the place. Now, I'm not sure if it became a mill again after that, but today it's obviously lived in, so we won't hang about here, we'll carry on. There are some other buildings about. One of these was apparently a slaughterhouse to about 1920. Not sure if it was this one. So this is at the back of Jumble Hole Mill. You can see there are houses. But all of these mills would at one point have had dams where the water would have flown down and filled up. And I think the dam for this one is still here. So obviously not full of water anymore, but this was the dam for Jumble Hole Mill. This picture also gives you an idea of what it once looked like, with the chimneys as well. Kind of have a recollection of seeing chimneys here at one point. I don't know if they've now been pulled down or if they're just lost in the trees. I certainly can't see any today. So as we follow the river, we're going uphill. The water flows down. We soon come to what remains of our next mill. Now this is the one I find quite baffling, because here you can see on this picture this 5-storey mill that once existed here. This was called Spa Mill. And it's almost impossible to believe that that mill stood here, which was built in 1788, I think used as a cotton mill. Although it's a little bit inaccessible above here, there would have been a dam, and it was moved the water with a water wheel above the mill. There are some remains just here. I don't know if you can see them. There's like a doorway just there. You can kind of see the back wall of the mill that would have been here. There's a very obvious wall just above there, which I'm guessing the dam was the other side. So Spa Mill closed about 1920, and was by the World War II, I think it had been fully demolished. As you can see on this picture of it, I'm going now up the hill from it. There are also some buildings here too. Just to show you, this is kind of where the buildings would have been. I'm not sure if that is a wall of one of the buildings. Yeah, this one I find absolutely mind-blowing. You really can't picture that mill being here. So before I carry on, actually, I've just come across from the path to have a browse through where those houses would have been. And look what I've managed to find. I think these would have belonged to those houses, or at least a path past them at one point. So I'm just down by the river at the moment, before I carry on. And although it does mostly look like it's just a stream flowing through the valley, back then, when there were mills here, it actually became quite a complex system. Some of it is man-made to, I suppose, channel the water in the right direction, or have right amounts in certain places. That was done by what were called the water keepers, and they had some buildings here too. So just in the woods here, to my right, this was known as the Queen's Seat, which was a small dwelling built for the waterkeeper to do his work just a bit further up here at Cowbridge. The King's Seat is further up, but nothing remains of that today. I don't know if we can get near this building today. It is, as you can see, fairly nettle filled, and so yeah, early days yet. Let's not get stung to pieces yet. So back to the river. Let's have a look at Cowbridge. Okay, so this is one of those examples of something being man-made. This wall would have built here. This is not a lot of water today. We've had about 2 months of hot weather. You can see how this would have been a good place for the water to build up before heading down the valley. So now we're up on top of the bridge. At some point this would have probably had a sluice gate on it. There's a little building there, but I don't know if that's from the past or more recent. But what was here was Cowbridge Mill, which existed here. And the other side were some cottages, I think 5 cottages. So we're very lucky to once again have another surviving photo of the mills with the cottages. Cowbridge Mill, possibly built around 1795. Cowbridge cottages were built around 1820. We know the cottages were pulled down around 1960. I don't have an exact date of when the mill went, but once again a 5-storey mill just here. And literally just the back wall of the mill existing today. You can just about make out through the brambles the cottages there at the back. But not much to see. Now a bit later on I'm going to head back down to here, to Cowbridge, and head up that path behind us. I want to find another mill that was up there, which was called Winter's Mill. Not sure again if anything remains of it, but I've never found that one before, so that'll be quite good. And before we continue up the path, let's just have a look at what we can see by this other bridge. There's the bridge. Again, I imagine that's some workings for keeping control of the levels. Just above there is Cowbridge Dam, which we'll look at in a moment. But look at that water, that is calling me. This video may well end up with a swim, who knows. If this is accessible. No. Okay, you will have to tell me what you can see in here. I think you just about make out the old pipes that would at one point have brought the water down from the dam above. Let's head there now. So it's empty at the moment, but that is Cowbridge Dam just there in the distance. Absolutely inaccessible again, thanks to the nettles. There's a little shed here, but it's also believed that it's in the location of where the king's seat would have been. So another water keeper's cottage, if you like. But yeah, that's the dam in the distance. It's a pretty steep walk once you start going uphill, but we're coming off this tarmac road going into the woods. So it does feel like you go up and up and up for ages, and the water is way down in the valley somewhere. But eventually we do reach our next mill. It's probably the one that people know best of all. Okay, so I'm going to be honest, I've come out here and this is not what I was expecting. I've done this walk many times and I can't believe I've arrived at Storp's mill and they're doing some work here. I'm going to be honest, I'm a bit gutted to find it like this. I'll put a picture on in a minute of what you would normally have found here, but the magic of this place is finding this amongst the trees, all covered in green. There's a little cellar to explore, there's a waterfall. Somebody's obviously decided it needs some work doing on it. A bit late, it's been gone for over 100 years. I'll hide my disappointment as best I can and show you what's here. So this is how you would normally find Storp's mill. Beautiful, wasn't it? So this is a late 18th century cotton mill. As I said, it's called Storp's mill. Again, this had somewhere above it, I'm not sure if it was this side or the other, a big dam. And in 1896 it burst and sent about 20 feet of the wall of the dam burst, and it came flooding through the valley, and I think that pretty much put end to this as a mill. Can't get to it anymore, but there was a little cellar there. See the remains of the old fireplace. I'm hoping whatever they're doing here is beneficial to what is here. It is dodgy, as you can see, probably going to fall at any time. Yeah, still not very happy finding it like this though. They also seem to have removed the date stone. There used to be a rock just here which had initials JH 1812 on it, which was for the former owner, John Horsfall. Sorry guys, let's carry on. So this is the date stone that was on the path. JH was John Horsfall, 1812, here at Storp's Mill. Like I said, it's a shame it's been removed, but you could just find it off the path at one point. So obviously it's still good that it exists. Yeah, it is a shame that it no longer looks its magical self. Okay, I don't stay angry for long in these things. There must be a reason for doing the work there. Sorry if I sound very grumpy. But I think it's more that I would have liked to have shown you what it looked like before rather than what it looks like now. I'm only a few weeks too late, really. So that's about all the mills that you can find in Jumble Hole, Clough. But I do still want to show you a few of the bits, like to see if we can find Winter's Mill. But I think I need to wash off my frustration. So at the top of Jumble Hole Clough, you arrive at pretty much Blackshaw Head. And this time next week, 3rd of September, I'll be at Blackshaw Head. They've got a fete on. I like taking my children welly wanging. And if you don't know what that is, I suggest you go to Blackshaw Head fete on the 3rd of September. Anyway, advert over. Let's carry on. So it's not as deep as it used to be, but I certainly feel better already. It is one of my favourite spots to swim in. Very much out of the way, although there is a road there. It can be seen. Okay, let's just play here for a little bit. Chill out with the sunshine, and then we'll continue our journey. Once you've had your little swim, just go and sit on this rock and have a sunbathe. Okay, I've chilled out a bit now. I'm up at Blackshaw Head. I'm just going to follow this path down. I'm hoping it leads me to somewhere near where Winter's Mill was. I'm looking forward to trying to find that. And that will conclude our Jumble Hole adventure. Following the path down, you're eventually back in the woods again. And here we have a familiar sight. This is the remains of Beverley End Farm. Now I've done a video on this already, so I won't repeat it too much, other than this was Beverley End Farm. This is what's left here today. Not a lot. I think I've just found a giant stone sculpture of Pac-Man. A lovely swim spot just at the bottom of there. So after hitting the bottom of the woods, pretty much where Cowbridge was, now seem to be heading back up the hill. What looks like a little pack horse track. Let's see if this leads to where Winter's Mill was. This is a very steep path. I hope it leads to something. Time is against me today. Fingers crossed we get there. So although I'm in a spot called Winters. I'm on Winters Lane, and it's a very beautiful area. I think it needs a bit more exploring. I haven't come across any sign of the mill, and it feels like we're a long way away from Jumble Hole now. So a bit of research has shown that there is just a little archway left of Winters Mill with a date on it, 1880 I think it was. Winters Mill was built early 1800s but only lasted till about 1888. Unfortunately the business went bankrupt, and to pay it off they sold the building piece by piece. That was the end of the mill, so what I'll do, I'll have to come back up here another time. It's a much bigger area than I expected it to be. Okay, so I hope you've enjoyed our little search for those lost, long gone mills from Jumble Hole. It's good to find what evidence does remain. We've had some successes, some not. So join me again soon. Remember, we're heading towards video 250 and my second anniversary on YouTube. So we've got some exciting things coming up soon. But in the meantime, take care, enjoy the weekend. See you soon.